Games make you do hard things for fun. You'll research, plan, fail, and adapt, and you'll love every second of it. But in real life, you open one tab and your brain flatlines. It's not because you're lazy, it's because you've been trained for one kind of game. And real life doesn't play by those rules. In Pokemon, you actually do hard things. You grind XP, you plan builds, you research strategies. If you're into Nuzlocke, you'll most likely be grinding for hours. Or if you're a shiny hunter, that's even worse. The amount of time it takes to get shiny Pokemon, that's hard. It takes a lot of perseverance and discipline to sit there and reset over and over. But the thing about Pokemon is you get rewarded. If you're playing a Nuzlocke and you beat a gym leader, you'll feel a sense of accomplishment. In real life, those rewards, they aren't always so clear. Deciding to start a YouTube channel now and putting in months of work just to see almost no views and very little subscribers, that can be really disheartening. Unlike in Pokemon, where you almost get instant feedback, you play for a couple hours and you've been given so many rewards already. Even something like doing the dishes in real life, that can feel like climbing Mount Silver blindfolded. So the core of the problem here is that games, they give you instant feedback, they give you structure, and they usually give you an easy progression model to follow. Life hides all of that. There's no obvious levels, there's no obvious XP, there's just a long laundry list of tasks that has to be done without much of a reward. So your brain defaults to, I want dopamine now, and I don't care about the meaning later. And then suddenly you've been on Pokemon for 3 hours. When you think about it from this lens, it's not really a discipline problem, it's a design problem of your life. And I want to dive into how we can actually design life in a better way by looking at 3 reasons why games, they feel better than life. The first one is that when we have structure plus instant feedback, that gives us flow. That's what keeps us in the game and wants us to keep playing for hours. With Pokemon, you have clear progress such as the XP bars, evolutions, and you have badges to chase. You'll know exactly how far you are and when you're winning, even if it takes a while to grind up for the next gym. In real life, there's no gym leader that tells you, you're ready for this now. You just have to keep lifting, you have to keep editing, you have to keep working, studying. When you graduate, you might get the closest thing to an evolution screen. But without that feedback, it's easy to assume that we are failing. But in reality, it's just that we're not seeing the stats go up. Another thing is that taking on voluntary challenges, that is fulfilling. In Pokemon, no one makes you train your team. You actively decide to, and you decide whether you want a more offensive team, a defensive team, a more diverse team, a more centered team around one type. That's what makes it really meaningful. Most people today are trying to be productive in games they didn't choose themselves. They pick a degree they didn't really care about, or they just take a career that they fell into, and they follow goals that has been handed to them by social media. It kind of feels like somebody just gave you a Pokemon save file in Pokemon Black, and let's say you hate Gen 5. You have a team that consists of a Woobat, a Rock'n'Roller, a Pignite, and maybe an overlevel Substrika, and now you have to progress from there. It wouldn't feel very fun to you, probably. I mean, unless you thrive on playing other people's save files, it'll feel really wrong, right? You'd rather just want to start a new game. So no wonder motivation feels fake in real life. Productivity without purpose is just busy work. And a third thing is that you can facilitate deep learning by failing safely. In Pokemon, fainting is normal, even in Nuzlocke. You heal up your Pokemon, you re-strategize, you come back stronger. Even if you lose some, it doesn't feel like the end of the world because you can always just replace it with another Pokemon. In real life, we often don't allow ourselves to lose. When we get one bad grade, we label ourselves lazy and stupid. When we get rejected, we tell ourselves we're not lovable. That pressure we put on ourselves in real life, that paralyzes you. But you're never meant to play life on this hardcore permadeath mode. You're actually meant to fail, to faint in Pokemon terms, multiple times and learn from those rejections and learn from your mistakes. That's actually how you grow really, really quickly. So that safe failure is what's gonna build you up if you allow yourself to. I want to share with you my 3-part life gamification framework where we take these 3 factors of flow, fulfillment, and safe failure into action. The first part of it is that going into battle, that's your deep work. You want to figure out what you're fighting first of all. If you're fighting an electric type, you want to bring your ground type's moves. And taking a high level view on this, you want to figure out what your current goals are and how to combat them properly. If you are creating YouTube videos like I am, the main task you want to focus on is recording videos and getting better over time. So the way I'm quenching the poisonous acts of distraction and going onto social media is by using my psychic brain to destroy the poison types that's in my way. And then I record the videos. and then you want to get into deep work blocks. I'd recommend starting with just sit down for 15 minutes, put your phone away, put on a timer, and work up to 45 to 50 minutes. That's a really good sweet spot for many, to sit down for, in my case, 50 minutes, work, and then take a 10-minute break where I assess how was that working block for me. Can I improve anything for next time? Was I really distracted? And then you can go at it again. That's the first part of my life gamification framework. The second part is you want to assess your team and inventory and figure out if you are well recovered and you're well prepped for the task ahead of you. If you're a student at uni and you have an exam coming up in 1 month, you want to plan ahead as to how you can most efficiently study for that exam, how much recovery you need in between study sessions, how to keep yourself mentally stable during that point, and how much is just realistic for you to study on a daily basis. In Pokemon, we do this naturally. We know when a big fight is coming up. Let's say you're taking on Norman in Pokemon Emerald and you don't have a good counter to his slacking. What do? You reflect over how you can actually beat him. You might gather resources in the form of a new Pokemon, a new team member that can actually beat the slacking. And then you study up on it. How can I effectively exploit his slackings true into my advantage? And by studying up on all of this and making sure you have the right assets going into battle, you can ace the slacking just as you can ace your exams or job interview or whatever you're facing in life at the time. That's the second part of the gamification framework. You want to gather resources to make sure that you're well prepped and well recovered for the task at hand. Finally, the third pillar of the life gamification framework is exploration by using your creativity and strategy. This is something we often do naturally in Pokemon. We catch different Pokemon, we explore different movesets, and we test new approaches. This is something that a lot of people, they are good at when they're kids, but they kind of lose that sense of exploration as they get older, as they get locked more and more into one single path. And this is actually something I did a lot in my 20s. I kind of forgot about it, realized that my life was suddenly not as fun as I remember, and I missed the exploration part, and it really gave me a lot of insights into what I liked and what I didn't like and what I needed in my life at the time. When I've journaled and reflected over this is something I really need to keep in my life, because honestly the side quests are often where a lot of major breakthroughs happen, and that can lead you to a totally different future than the one you originally envisioned, just because you started to have these tiny life experiments of exploring your creativity combined with strategy. So just to recap, battle in the form of deep work, resource gathering in the form of prep and recovery, and exploration in the form of creativity and strategy. I want to warn you that most people, they overdo the battle part. When they figure out their goal, they just grind endlessly and they forget completely about the other two, which is the mistake I fell into some years ago, where I completely forgot to have fun and explore, and I forgot to listen to my body in terms of gathering resources and feeling recovered and prepped for the task at hand. And that made me feel really burned out and overwhelmed. If you want my help with designing your framework that's tailored exactly to your brain and your way of thinking, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. I'm currently tinkering with starting up a coaching business for neurodivergent men in their 20s and 30s to help them reclaim their time. If that sounds interesting to you, or if anything resonated in this video with you, just send me a message on there and we can have a human conversation without any pressure.